Super excited to be here today and talk about building sales funnels that build loyalty and hopefully make some money while we're doing it, right? This is something that we talk about day in and day out at ActiveCampaign. We educate our users on how to do it, and we do it internally. Can you still hear me? Yeah. So a little bit about ActiveCampaign. We started in 2003 as purely an email marketing tool and quickly moved into marketing automation. So we work with small and medium-sized businesses to help them really connect with their audience, whether that's prospects or customers. And in 2013, we added on a CRM. And so we're really looking at sort of going a bit beyond marketing automation, thinking about sales automation, thinking about creating those experiences. And as we push over 50,000 customers, we're really thinking about what all of those different experiences might be. And a little bit about me. I've been in marketing automation, sales automation for about 6 years. I started off with a reseller of ExactTarget, now Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and worked with prospects and customers on really understanding and leveraging the tool set to meet their marketing goals. I joined the ActiveCampaign team in 2015 when we were only 23 people, and built out the customer success department, which is really focused on educating the users, understanding their marketing, business goals, growth goals, and how to leverage the tool set to meet those. And I've now moved into the sales department as a solutions architect, and part of my job is building our own sales funnel and tweaking our own sales funnel every single day. So I'm really excited to share some of the learnings we've had over the past few months on our own sales funnel and hopefully provide some context to what I'm talking about. So we're probably all aware, or most of us are aware of a sales funnel. This probably doesn't look too foreign to you. But ultimately, we're taking a bunch of people at the top, and we want to get them to purchase, right? So we at ActiveCampaign follow a pretty fundamental software as a service sales funnel. So awareness at the top, how do they know about us, ads, content, educational information that we're putting out there, and we want to get them into acquisition. We want to know who they are. We want to be able to sort of have that invitation to start talking to them. Now we do have a stage called activation that may be a little bit different depending on which businesses you guys are sort of with, but our activation is they didn't just take the bait, they didn't just give us their information, but they're actually showing an intention to use us. So it's their first introduction to our core offering. And this is where onboarding begins. I think a lot of times we think about onboarding beginning when they become a user. It's that first insight they get into your product. So when they sign up for a trial with us, that's when onboarding starts. And that's when our marketing team really takes on. This is their thing that they think about all the time. Our marketing team is always thinking about this activation conversion. You'll notice that revenue for us is right in the middle. So we don't stop at revenue. I've worked with a ton of customers that they say, lead to customer, good, I'm done, I did it. This is just the first step, right? Especially we're on a subscription-based model. So we care about that first payment a lot. We care even more about that second and third and fourth and hopefully 50th payment. And so we're constantly thinking about how do we retain these customers so that it's not just a one-time revenue, but it's a multi-time revenue. And then after we keep them, how do we get them to talk about us? How do we get them to almost build that top of the funnel for us? And so ours almost on the diagram, it doesn't go back, but in the bullets, you'll see it goes right back to the top. So we almost want our customers to be building some of that incoming lead flow for us. So how do we get them to sort of branch that out? So I want to go a step deeper, talk about sort of that top part. So you'll see we're just stopping when they become customers. So we have people coming in from all sorts of places. And what I've learned, and I live in sources all the time, what I've learned is the more granular you can get at the top of the funnel and who these people are and where they're coming from, the more information you're going to have and the better experience you can provide. So we have ads. Where are these ads? Are they on social? Are they Google? What kind of ads are they? We have people signing up for trials. How did they get there? How did they find out about us? We have events. What was the nature of that event? Did we attend? Did we speak? Did we sponsor? And the more granular you get here, the more you're just going to understand that experience that the customer is having. Obviously, most important is we're looking at that conversion from top to customer. But I think even more important is looking at that conversion from stage to stage. So we're going to lose people along this way, and we want to understand what is that conversion from ad to acquisition to activation to customer. Other things that we pay attention to are things like just total volume, number of customers that come in, the average deal size, average ACV per people coming this source, and then the sales cycle timeline. So how long does it take to recognize that revenue? It's probably the ugliest spreadsheet I've ever worked in. It crashes my computer every day. But what it does is it gives a lot of power to levers that we can pull and push. So if marketing comes and says, hey, we're going to increase our Google ad spend X%, I know if everything else stays the same, how many more customers we're going to get, how much money we're going to make, and how long it's going to take us to see that money come in. Or I can say, hey, actually, that source is like not converting super well, and we're spending a lot of human capital on it, and they're not, they're signing up for trials, but they're not activating, they're not doing anything. So maybe we allocate that budget elsewhere, or we attack it a different way, and we think of a different way of getting it in the hands of sales or marketing. Hugely important, again, is that second half. So that customer and how they expand. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, so it's not all customers are the same. Some are prime candidates for expansion. They're using the platform, they're going to adopt new features, they're going to adopt more functionality, they're going to repeat purchase. Some become just strong advocates for your brand. They want to talk about you all the time. They want to tell their mom about you. They want to tell anyone that they meet at an event about you. And then some, my favorite, do the selling for you and become partners. And so they really take on a whole element of your sales cycle that you can sort of teach them how to do. So again, all of those customers, you can think of those as sources as well. And how do we sort of create those experiences for each different blend? And what's really fun, and we haven't gotten here yet, is if I can tie back the people who can expand all the way back up to the top and understand, oh, wow, if someone comes in from this way and does these things, they're going to expand. That would be like magic, and hopefully we can get there one day, but not there yet. So the steps I'm going to sort of go through next are ways in which we can think about creating these experiences. How can we contact them, communicate with them, engage them, and move them from stage to stage through our funnel. So the first one is really thinking about that blend of automation and human touch. So I've worked with lots of customers who are terrified of automation. They think it's just all going to feel like robots and machines and nothing's going to feel authentic and real. And then some are taking on way too much themselves and doing everything with humans. And so we really want to think about, what can I sort of do away with of me doing the work, and what do I absolutely need to make sure I jump in on? So when we were a team, customer-facing team of about 5 people, we obviously couldn't talk to everyone. We couldn't talk to every new lead. We couldn't manage every single account. And so we really had to think about, when do we jump in and when do we not jump in? And so we were able to build out a lot of automation, especially in that onboarding stage that I talked about, that activation stage. So how are they leveraging the platform? How do we get them to engage more? And then when they get to a certain point, we can jump in. Or right now we have one of, if someone views the cancellation documentation, how to cancel an account, we're sort of notifying people and doing some automation there. So really understanding what that blend is of what the human's going to do and what maybe the automation's going to do, and perfecting that. Once we figure out who's going to do what, we want to figure out when. And I think a lot of times as marketers, we hear the right message at the right time to the right person. We do it a little bit differently and think about the right action, right? So it's not necessarily a message. It's not necessarily an email. We want to think about, what could that action be? It may not be any external communication. It may be an internal notification, like I said with the cancellation documentation. Or it could be an expired trial who never engaged with us. If we send them an email, that probably isn't going to resonate a lot, but maybe we add them to some advertising audiences and we get them back in our face, essentially. But it's more about that action. And again, the more you can think about where people come from and what stage they're in and what they're converting on, you're going to be able to sort of do the right thing at the right time. And then the third step is really blending it all together. So we have a lot of customer intelligence, hopefully. We have a lot of business knowledge, hopefully. And we can start blending that to say, this is that experience, this is where that person is. So customer intelligence, obviously knowing what people are adopting, what they like, why they're buying your product, what hurdles they have in that activation stage, what their buying timeline is. Business knowledge, really knowing your processes, who owns what does sales own, what does marketing own, what does account management own, and having that really clear, knowing your product offering. So having high customer intelligence, but low business knowledge, maybe you don't have a team yet or know the efficiency of your team, but you know exactly what to say to your customer, you know exactly what they need, and you might be stepping on your toes. Your own toes. So sales and account management and everyone might be trying to get in front of this customer with the right message and they know exactly what's happening, but there's no internal process to sort of help you do the right thing at the right time. Or if you have a ton of business knowledge and you know very little about your customer and how they're leveraging your product or service, you're probably a well-oiled machine that is selling hockey pucks and they want ho-hos. Right? So it's a completely wrong product, and you are selling it, and you have a process, and you are doing great, and the customer is just left completely unhappy. So when we were starting out, the sales and success account management teams were really close. We were really small. We sat right next to each other, and we didn't have a ton of process. We were both two new teams. And so we were building so much customer intelligence, talking to everyone, understanding what are you adopting, why are you not adopting it, what's your experience, what do you like, what do you not like. And we were able to build that into our process. Then as the team started growing, so success team's at about 30 now, sales team's at about 70, a bit more siloed. That communication wasn't there as much. And so we were missing some of that customer intelligence. So we went from huge customer intelligence, budding business knowledge, to pretty good business knowledge, and now we have a gap in that customer intelligence. So we started thinking about how we get information from our customers. What are we looking at? What are we thinking about? So this is something that pops up anytime someone starts a new trial. This is what we call the modal. I think about the modal every day. It's my life. But this is some of the information that we ask when they sign up. And so when we were first starting out, when we couldn't take on everything, we took one blend of this. Right? So we said, we want people who say that they're interested in everything about our product. They have lots and lots of contacts because that's where the money's going to be, right? So that's what we took on. And what we quickly realized, because this isn't the only intelligence we have, we also know what they're doing, is that people were saying, I'm just interested in email, but then they'd engage in their trial and they'd be touching pipelines and they'd be touching automations. So we realized we were missing some of the meat that we could probably attack. So as the team grew, we decided to take on more. So then we just opened it up and we said, let's take it all on. And we quickly realized we're going to need a bigger boat. There's like a lot of people coming through right now and we can't do it all. And our conversion plummeted, of course, because we just didn't have enough focus on everything. And so what we started doing is tying back every blend of what people could fill out back to that conversion. And we realized there's this one combination where it doesn't matter if we touch it or if the robots touch it. We have no change in conversion. Nothing's different. And so what we did is we just gave that back to marketing. And we said, y'all take it. And if they engage or if they get to a certain threshold, we'll take it back. But we gave that back to the automation and we focused on where we made the biggest impact. Just to give you an idea of how iterative this process is, this modal has changed 22 times since February 5th. It'll probably change tomorrow. We're constantly thinking about where do these different blends go to. But this modal has given us all the information we need right now to know not only does sales own it or does marketing own it, but which team in sales owns it. Do we give it to a qualifying role? Do we give it to a closing role? Do we give it to a account exec or account rep? Where does it go? And so this gives us all the information we need to know as far as what experience we're going to give that prospect when we funnel them through. And we're not done learning. We added in industry recently. This used to be something that we collected when we got involved personally. So we asked what industry they're in. But we wanted to throw it right up at the front. We're not doing anything with it yet, but this provides a lot of opportunity to start creating specialization, different onboarding funnels, things like that. And so this has provided us sort of that sweet spot for for that modal. So we know exactly what we want to do for every blend of what customers fill out there. And this sweet spot exists everywhere in your funnel. It is not just for prospect to customer. It is for any conversion that you are looking at. So you want to think about, where do they fit? What do I know about them? What is their engagement like? And what experience do I want to provide them right now? So they may be aware of us, but they're not a great fit. I probably shouldn't add them to an ad audience. They already know about us. Or they could be a trial that's signed up, but they aren't engaged. What messaging do I need to send them to get them engaged? And it works for retention as well. They're a great fit. We want their logo on our website, but they are just not doing anything with our product. Let's get a human to sort of talk through what those barriers might be. Or they're a great fit and they are loving our product. Why are we not moving them down to that advocacy stage, part of the funnel? So once you start thinking about all these experiences, and there's tons of them, there's tons of different ways that people can move through, that's when you start optimizing, and that's the goal, right? So we are not creating one funnel. We are creating a funnel for each individual person, depending on what they're doing, what they're not doing, where they are, where they came from, and what we ultimately want them to do. And so that's what we focus on. Again, we have a huge culture value at ActiveCampaign, iterate everything always. That's something that we instill in our customers, hopefully. This is not a magic formula, so my biggest suggestion is build it, analyze it, optimize it. You're probably going to change it a ton of times, but hopefully you've learned some things to pay attention to and some things to measure against so that you know if it's working or not. And I think I'm out of time, but I'll be at the booth afterwards if any.
Oh yeah, she'll be at a booth and we have a break, so perfect.
Great, perfect. All right, thank you.
Cool.